Hey there, welcome back. So, originally this video was supposed to be on just Wallachia. The problem is I couldn't really find much to make a full video out of, and I needed to combine it with something else. I spent hours and hours searching for the perfect topic to pair it with, and I landed on ancient China. And I was gonna do the exaggerated Dracula accent and everything. Let's get started. Also, disclaimer. I'm going to be saying a lot of foreign names in this video, so if I mispronounce them in any way, I apologize. Alright, let's actually get started now. Ling Qi began around the 10th century, and it was one of the more wicked forms of capital punishment in China. It was reserved for only the worst of crimes at the time, like high treason, mass murder, patricide, or matricide. Ling Qi generally translates to slow slicing or death by 1,000 cuts. It was an extremely drawn-out, agonizing process where the executioner took their time slicing and slashing the skin as slowly as possible to ensure a slow death. It was officially banned by the Qing dynasty in 1905. The process of Ling Qi was relatively straightforward. The executioner tied the victim to a wooden post in a way where they were unable to move or break free. The executioner would then begin to slice their raw flesh with a knife, starting at the chest. The chest muscles were carefully removed until the ribs were nearly visible. After that, the executioner would start on their arms, gouging out huge portions of skin and exposing muscle tissue. Then they would move to the thighs, where he would do the same thing, and move to basically every part of their body. The good news or bad news, depending on how you look at it, is the person being carved up like a turkey would have likely been dead by the time the executioner finished the thighs. When it was done, the executioner would collect the pieces and put them in a basket. Sometimes a relative would pay the executioner not to spare them, but to just kill them instantly. Ling Qi actually varied per region. In some areas, it only lasted 15 minutes, while in others, it lasted hours, and by the end of it, the victim had over 3,000 cuts. Vlad the Impaler was... Okay, that's enough. Vlad Tepes, also known as Vlad the Impaler, was the feared iron-fisted ruler of Wallachia from around 1448 to around 1476. As the name suggests, he was notorious for brutally killing/torturing his enemies by impaling them through various orifices, usually with wooden stakes, and he spared absolutely no one. One case of this would be the Impaled Forest. In 1462, around 60 miles from Targoviste, a sultan named Mehmed II was leading his men west to overthrow Vlad. On his way there, he and his men were stopped dead in their tracks by a spine-chilling sight. Historians refer to it as the Field of Stakes, and it was a forest of impaled men, women, and children. Even babies were impaled along with their mothers, and some of the rotting corpses even had birds feeding on their entrails. Kind of like this guy from last video. There were at least 20,000 of these victims, dead or dying, spanning an area 3 miles long and 1 mile wide. One of the impaled was a leading Ottoman, Hamza Pasha. He was impaled on a much taller stake, which signaled his higher rank. Before he was impaled, Hamza's arms and legs were cut off. Majority of the time, victims were impaled horizontally or vertically. The stake was usually rounded at the end to avoid a quick death. If Vlad was really pissed off, he would impale his enemies upside down. Mehmed and his men were absolutely astounded at the sight, and you probably are too after hearing this segment. So, good luck sleeping tonight. The idea behind this one is actually kind of similar to the triple death from my Persian video, and the way that some rulers believed enemies deserved to die more than once. So after the death of an emperor named Han Gaozu, the Empress Lu ordered this execution on his favorite mistress, Qiu Ren. First, her limbs were chopped. It wasn't specified it was all of them or just her arms or legs. Then her nose, ears, and tongue were cut off and out. Next, she was forced to drink mute-inducing medicine. Here's where it gets kind of confusing though. The website I got this information from said she was further subjected to smoking her ears to deafness, and I wasn't sure what to make of this. It could mean she was forced to smoke so much she turned deaf, which doesn't really make sense since by this point her ears were already chopped off. Smoking can actually lead to hearing loss in some cases, but it's usually over a long period of time. Let me know what you think in the comments to all of my 4 viewers watching this. After this, she was thrown into a pigsty and renamed Human Pig. At some point, Empress Lu had her own son witness Qiu Ren in this position, and it shook him to his core. In fact, it shook him so hard, he got sick and died. I wonder if she felt any remorse. It's just a little filicide. Probably not. The fact that Vlad technically makes 3 appearances on this list should tell you something about his character. That being he's a master at ultraviolet impalement. The Boyars were a bunch of aristocrats that ruled many parts of Eastern Europe, including Wallachia. They were also as corrupt as humanly possible. Vlad didn't like many things besides graphic murder, but he especially hated corruption, and he already didn't trust the Boyars, so he decided to teach them a lesson. On Easter in 1497, Vlad summoned the Boyars to his castle in Targoviste. There were 500 of them gathered in Vlad's great hall, and they were asked how many princes they've ever seen in their lives so far. Some of them said 7, 20, or even 30, and I guess Vlad decided he would be the last prince they've ever seen, because on his command, the Boyars and their innocent family members were all captured and impaled alive. Their corpses were then set on display while they rotted as a warning to anyone who even dared to oppose them. Now let's move on to the monks. One time, 2 Hungarian monks visited Vlad at his capital. I forgot to mention this earlier, but Vlad is usually very proud of his acts of supreme violence, and he decided to show the monks some of his victims whose bodies were mangled and broken on wheels and a number of people on stakes. He then asked them if they liked his method of discipline. One monk disapproved and thought Vlad was a maniac. The other said he very much enjoyed his methods and thought evildoers deserved to be punished. One went home very happy with a sack of gold, and you can probably guess how the other one turned out. Where does he get all these stakes from? In conclusion, don't trifle with Vlad the Impaler Tepesh. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and tell your friends about me. I'll see you next video. Farewell for now. Actually, wait. One last thing. Alright, look. I know we talk about torture a lot on this channel, and it's probably been getting dull for all of you. And to be quite honest, this kind of content is monotonous for me to make as well, which is why I don't really plan on doing it forever. I can't really get into details for what I have planned in the future, but what I can tell you is that it's very, very different from this, and hopefully more enjoyable for you all and for me as well. So, yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to smile once in a while. Farewell for now. I'll see you next video.